About a week ago, my cat got out and went missing for a few days. I was heartbroken. I put his litter box outside, hung flyers everywhere, and literally cried non-stop. It was bad. Then I noticed someone was taking down my flyers. This made me really upset, so I started knocking on people's doors. One neighbor told me that she overheard her neighbor's kid excitedly thanking his mom for a new cat, and when I walked up their driveway, what do you know, my cat was sitting in their windowsill. He immediately started pawing at the glass when he saw me, and it broke my heart. I knocked on the front door and explained to the lady that answered that this was my cat. He's chipped and everything, so I have proof he's mine. She literally laughed in my face and slammed the door. I knocked again, and this time a huge dude answered and told me this is my son's cat, now go away, and slammed the door in my face. I went home and bawled like a baby. I called my dad, he's the county sheriff, to tell him what happened and to ask what I should do. He told me to stay home and that he would send over a deputy to take care of it. Well, apparently the deputy let it slip that I was the county sheriff's daughter, and now the catnapper lady is telling everyone in the neighborhood I'm a spoiled brat who went crying to her daddy. But the thing is, I would have called the cops regardless. The only reason I called my dad first is because I was bawling and didn't want to sob on the phone to a stranger if I could avoid it, plus I wanted his advice on how to get my cat back. Apparently the kid's dad also went to jail because the deputy ran his plates and saw he had a warrant, so this woman is also telling everyone I got her partner arrested, too. But how was I supposed to know the guy had a freaking warrant? I just wanted my cat back. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Anyone in the neighborhood who mentions he to you, make sure you tell them exactly what you told us. They're thieves who wouldn't return your stolen property. The police intervened because that's what they do in cases of theft. That her husband had an arrest warrant out wasn't your fault, but it does show that his word shouldn't be trusted when it comes to the outright theft they committed. She stole your cat. Literally took down the signs, so she knew the cat belonged to somebody. That behavior is ridiculous. And it's not your fault he got arrested because he had a warrant. That is on him. You just wanted your cat back that they stole. Do not feel guilty for a second. If anyone says anything to you, all you have to say is it's not your fault he had a warrant in the first place. You went to her house to get your cat back and she slammed the door in your face. She stole your cat and she knew it was yours. I have a 13-year-old baby. If someone stole her, I'd probably be the one in jail because I would beat their face in for laughing in my face after me saying that was my cat. She's chipped and very unique looking. They don't know her medical history. They don't know her routine. They don't know her. She would probably go into a terrible episode of dementia and hurt herself, or them. Then my poor baby could be put down because she hurt their thieving selves. Just thinking about it makes my blood boil. I 100% think you did the right thing. A couple weeks ago, though, I saved up for a weighted blanket because I thought it would be a lot easier to deal with, and it totally was. Now I just use that blanket along with my regular comforter and sheet set. Now while I absolutely love it, I don't need it to sleep. Last week I, 17, got roped into watching my niece, 5, overnight because my sister had to work and our mom had plans. My niece has autism, which causes her to have tantrums every now and then, which is why I don't often watch her, but sometimes I have to because my sister, 23, can't always afford or find a sitter, which is why she still lives with our mom. In case it's not clear, we're actually half sisters and half the time I them, the other half I live with my dad and stepmom. So, my niece had a really hard time going to sleep. Like it was almost midnight and she was all over the place. Which is not uncommon, but I was really tired myself and just wanted to go to sleep. So I thought, why not try and use the blanket on her, because that's kind of what they're made for. Well, it worked pretty well and calmed her down and she soon fell asleep. I was a little annoyed, though, that I didn't have my blanket to use anymore. The next morning my sister found her with a blanket and we got to talking about them. I told her how well it worked. She didn't really believe me, so I let her use another night. My sister was very pleased by the results. So, over throughout the week, when my niece had 2 really bad tantrums, my sister asked if she could use the blanket. I said yes, because she just looked so exhausted herself. When she looked into buying one, she became reluctant because my niece only likes very specific things. My sister doesn't want to get her another one that she may not like, since I don't remember which brand I got. She is short on cash, so she doesn't want to have to buy multiples, because honestly they can get rather expensive. I know mine was over $100 because I wanted to make sure I didn't have to deal with the bead spilling out issues that a lot of the cheaper ones have. Well, when I went back to my dad's the other night I brought my blanket with me. My sister calls me late one night completely frazzled and asks where I left my blanket because niece just won't calm down. When I told her I had it with me at my dad's she was upset. Not at me, just at the situation she had to deal with. Now I'm supposed to go back to my mom's today and I don't really want to bring blanket back over there, or at least sneaking it over there and saying I left it at my dad. I'm tired of not getting to use it whenever I want, and also I just don't want to share it because something about a sharing blanket all the time feels gross to me. Some weighted blankets are designed for different weights, so long-term use on a large blanket on a small child can actually harm them. I can't remember what they are called, but there is a different version of a weighted blanket that is just material in a tunnel-like form. It goes all the way around the mattress so children can't push it off. They aren't actually weighted but give a similar feeling. And are cheaper. If you have the time, give it a Google and recommend to your sister. As you've said, your sister wasn't upset with you, she was more upset with the tantrum and working in special education. I totally get that. I don't think she's an idiot for being exacerbated in the moment, and I get that she does not have the money to invest in something of a high quality. I highly suggest she go on something like Facebook and find local support groups for parents of kids with disabilities. Not only will she be able to get recommendations for cheaper and good alternatives, she may also even find someone with an old one that could be given. Not the idiot. You all sound like you're in a financially challenged place. She's aware of this. She's aware you get few really nice things that are yours and yours alone. The blanket is yours. You're under no obligation to let her use it. Her daughter might need one, but needing one for insomnia and anxiety is a legitimate need as well, and it was your money. When you make $0 and someone asks for your $100 item, you don't really want to give it to them. Recently, I took her to go get her nose pierced cause it was her birthday and she's always wanted to do it. It cost me around $90, which definitely isn't chump change cause I'm a semi-broke university student. So we were over at her parents and she accidentally flushed it down the kitchen sink. Don't ask me how, I wasn't next to her. Her father took apart the piping underneath and managed to shake it out, which was really good. She and I were both relieved. But over the past week she's lost it 3 more times. Every time it went down our bathroom sink, and I'd have to take a not insignificant amount of time to take apart the plumbing, which is nasty in its own right, and get it out. I ask her how in Jesus' name she keeps losing it, and she says that when she does a toner scrub, pours toner on a cotton pad and scrubs her face, she accidentally rips it out. Now look. I used to have a stud so I know how easy it can be to lose it, but I always made sure to watch it when I was washing my face. All it takes is a bit of effort really. So, this morning she wakes me up and tells me that she's flushed it down the goddamn sink again. Obviously I'm really annoyed at this point. As I'm taking apart the plumbing once again, I tell her that this is the last time I'm doing this and that she better watch me so she knows how to do it in case she loses it again. She says fine, okay, whatever. I find it and it's all good. That's what happened an hour ago. Yep, she flushed it down the sink for the 6th time. And I say, look. I told you I'm not going to do it again. I didn't say I told you so, or you're being dumb, or anything like that. I said that's horrible, but I am not going to take it apart again. Like, she's got hands too. She's seen me do it so many times by now she should know how to do it. She got frustrated with me and said I've done it so many times, so why not do it again? That made me laugh, because if she really wanted me to do it then that would have been the worst possible thing to say. She asked me to call a plumber. I said no, I can't afford that. She then threatened to call her dad to do it and I laughed again, like am I supposed to be scared of that? She's just been crying really hard now and I feel bad about refusing to do it. Should I just deal with it and do it anyways? Not the idiot. Tell her she needs to plug the sink and put the toner gently around her piercing. She's not even supposed to be scrubbing her face that hard with a cotton pad and toner in the first place. What she's doing is only irritating the piercing and prolonging the healing process. It's gonna have problems down the road if she doesn't keep it in her nostril. Tell her to get a captive bead hoop or a screw stud. I've had both nostrils pierced multiple different times over the years, at times 2 studs per nostril at the same time, and I have never once flushed my jewelry down the sink. Sure, I've pulled them out on accident before, it happens, but repeatedly? No. She shouldn't have piercings if she can't be bothered to care for them. Also, I'm assuming she just has one of those straight studs with a little bead at the end. She should consider a nostril screw. Much harder to accidentally pull out. Honestly, I'm just going to say, don't feel too bad for her, because her situation is not nearly as hopeless as her crocodile tears make it seem. You both literally outlined possible solutions. Hers was a threat, mind you, but yours was intended to be serious. After all, there's virtually no reason, other than aversion to the grime, that she can't take apart a piping herself. Frankly, I'd gather she may learn the intended lesson about making the itty-bitty effort to avoid these situations if she actually feels physically invested in it. She won't learn, so long as you hold her hands. I want nothing to do with my brother and his fiancée. They have done plenty of things over the years which have resulted in family and friends going to contact, but that's a whole load of other stories. They were due to get married next weekend, however, due to obvious reasons, they've had to postpone it. The thing that pissed a lot of people off was that if we wanted to go to their wedding, we had to pay our share of the wedding. They didn't organize a cheap wedding neither, it was a £75,000 wedding. With the amount of friends and family going, we would all had to have paid £500 each. This wasn't discussed beforehand, it was just expected of everyone. Essentially, they paid for the wedding themselves via loans, but expected everyone to pay their share, so the wedding was free for them. My parents and her parents even offered to pay for the majority between them, but my brother refused. A lot of people kicked off and either declined to go or refused to pay. The amount we had to pay rose from £500 to £1,500 pretty much overnight. This is just for one person, not even a +1. People refusing and dropping out caused a huge temper tantrum from my brother and his girlfriend. Hess always been the golden child. Hess very entitled and expects everyone to bend at his will. Eventually my dad caved, enabler, and why my brother is so entitled and paid for all of our share, even though we all declined. The rest of us have morals and don't live out of our parents' pockets, one of the other stories, and we have all paid our dad back the £1,500. So, to now, the wedding was cancelled. Naturally, there was a huge drama from my brother and his equally as entitled and narcissistic girlfriend. If they reschedule the wedding, it will cost them another $8,000 to rebook everything. Guess who has to pay for it? The guests. My brother's girlfriend called an emergency meeting to discuss the wedding. They stated they refuse payment from my dad again. Apparently we are the entitled ones, because he paid for us the last time. If we refuse to pay this time, it will be our fault, the wedding is ruined, etc. My £1,500 share is now £1,660. There are so many other things that have happened over the years. This isn't some petty crap that sparked this off. In short, my siblings and I are done with them. Not the idiot. I know it seems mean not to attend your own brother's wedding, but that's exactly what I would end up saying and doing. Who expects guests to pay to attend any event? If you're a guest, that means you were invited, and to be invited means that you was asked to come. Not pay to come. I myself don't care who is getting married, I'm not paying to go see it. If my own child sent out wedding invitations or requested others to pay to attend their wedding, I personally wouldn't go myself, and I would be completely devastated that I raised a narcissistic person who looks at theirself so highly that others should be flattered to even be around them. I can't understand people who can't live within their means. This is even less so for a marriage. They are taking multitude of loans and choosing to go into debt for a marriage. It's not for an education. It's not for a home. It's not for a vehicle. There is absolutely zero utility of going into debt for a marriage. To add to this debt is being passed on to the guests. Forcing others to pay a share to just attend is downright horrible. A share that is going to go up for every person who declines. How far up his butt is your brother's head? I don't understand the absolute sense of entitlement on display here by this prick. Your brother is massive idiot. I can't believe your dad forked out that money, that is ridiculous. And then to call all your family self-entitled for not paying more due to the wedding being postponed even though you paid your dad back is beyond crazy. Your dad shouldn't have paid it to begin with, as that in turn made you pay him back for something that you wasn't willing to pay for. I would 100% not go, and it will be their own faults when they are upset that no one came. So I, 13 a.m. in the hospital because I was having some pretty bad seizures. I'm epileptic. At my school we have PE every other day. Yesterday I emailed my PE teacher, I'll call her Miss R, and said I'm in the hospital and I can't come to PE that day. I had done all my other classes, but my teachers usually let us keep our camera off. Also my parents work during the day, so I was alone other than the nurses. She emailed back and said that I still had to come, even if I couldn't do anything. She didn't ask if I was okay or anything. The way our Zoom PE works is we take attendance, then we fill out a sheet on the healthy things we've eaten that day, and then we exercise. I usually ride my station bike at home. When I got into the class, the teacher made me put my camera on. When I turned it on, she didn't acknowledge the fact that I was hooked up to IVs and had a wrap on my head that made me look like an egg, though I could tell all the other kids were curious. Well, then when it was time for the exercise part, didn't get up from the camera because I couldn't really exercise. Then she asked why I wasn't exercising. I replied that I am not supposed to get up from the bed. She asked why and I didn't want to say it in front of the whole class, so I said, I don't know. She didn't like that and said we should brainstorm things I could do. I thought it would be something like my homework for other classes, but she was suggesting things like jumping jacks or burpees. She was saying it right in front of everyone, and I was really uncomfortable. She started getting mad that I wasn't willing to work with her or being cooperative. She said if I didn't know why I couldn't get out of bed then I probably could and just didn't know it. I just left the meeting and was so embarrassed I almost cried. Then after school, some girl that had been in my class messaged me on Instagram and asked why I left the meeting. I told her that I was uncomfortable and she kept saying I could have just told my teacher why I was in the hospital, but I didn't want to say it in front of everyone. The teacher gave me an F for the day, even though I filled out the sheet thing. She also marked me absent from the class and emailed my mom that I wasn't participating in class. I explained what really happened to my mom, but she doesn't speak English, so there isn't much she can do. But most people seem to think I should have just said in front of the entire class why I was in the hospital, so am I the idiot for not? Not the idiot. Email your principal and guidance counselor that you're in the hospital and your teacher was asking about your private health information, that it demonstrated that you're in the hospital and unable to participate, and that if your PE teacher needs anything else, that she can email you a form you can have the hospital staff fill out to get her off your back. Not the idiot. I'd report it to the school. You're in a bed for an epilepsy fit. Not only did she try to force you to disclose medical information, but you were incapable in any way of getting out of the bed. They most likely and should have a copy of the class which can be watched back in case there is any discrepancy about what happened. You should also retrieve a doctor's note and send that, including the initial email, all to the principal. If your mum doesn't speak English, I would get your doctor to email or phone your head teacher about what happened. As harsh as it is, teachers prefer listening to concerns from other adults rather than kids. The other option is getting someone impartial who speaks both English and the language your mum speaks and goes to see the principal and resort the situation. Whatever you do, this needs to be reported to the head teacher, maybe even the superintendent, as this is unacceptable.